What is going on, guys? Thank you so much for tuning into yet another episode of the Sports Muse podcast. I am your host, Kevin Brumley, and I am joined by my co-host today, John. John, how you doing?
Doing all right today. How are you doing?
You know what, man? Can't complain. It's a Friday, right?
That's right.
Cleveland, drop your season predictions in the comments, man. I know Ravens fans, there's a ton of them. Steelers fans, potentially the greatest fans in the nation, right? Cleveland, drop your season predictions. Show how much you're going to support your Brownies. So, talking about the Cleveland Browns in 2020, last year, huge disappointment. They had so much hype. They're on Hard Knocks. They kind of fell flat on their face, right? They end up going 6-10. They still have a ton of talent, though. They're a great team. They just underperformed last year. When we look at their additions and re-signings, Adrian Claiborne, Jack Conklin, which I think was a big one. He's going to shore up that offensive line because I think everyone kind of knew that was their biggest weakness going into last year. Big signing of Austin Hooper, Sadejo, Case Keenum, Kevin Johnson, and bringing back Kareem Hunt. I like it, man. As far as additions, what are you thinking?
Jack Conklin, sign him to a big deal because hopefully he can really shore up that offensive line. I really like Adrian Claiborne. Austin Hooper, I just feel like, what are they paying him, like $12 million a year, $11 million a year? I feel like that's a lot. But, if they can really get him in that offensive scheme, then maybe it's worth it. I don't know. I just feel like that's a lot for a tight end. That I think that one of the reasons he succeeded so well in Atlanta was just with Calvin Ridley, Julio Jones. They took so much coverage that it opened up the middle of the field so much for him. And so, I'm not sure, but yeah, love bringing Kareem Hunt back. And I'm a WV fan, so Carl Joseph, love him.
Sure. And, the good thing for Austin Hooper is he's going to another wide receiver situation with OBJ and Landry. So that middle of the field should still be open. But I think it's almost more so speaks on Njoku. They must not be big Njoku fans, and they wanted to – I don't want to just, say a security blanket, but they wanted that underneath guy, Hooper, and they must trust him a lot. So,
do you think they'll trade him, Njoku?
Well, he requested a trade, right?
Yeah.
And you would think, because if I'm a franchise, might as well throw out, if I can get Njoku for, a fourth, fifth round pick, I would do it for both sides. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, just the organization, I think, initially came out and said something about he was still in their plan. So I'm like, are they trying not to trade him, or just trying to maybe talk his hype, get a little better capital for him? It's hard to tell.
When we go to departures, they lost Christian Kirksey, Joe Shorbert, Eric Murray, and Demarius Randall. They lost talent. They lost some starters, but I think they did a good job with their acquisitions to kind of cover up some of those holes. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah, I definitely agree. They brought in a lot of free agents, and they lost some, but I don't think anything that they lost is not irreplaceable.
Yeah, and that gets to our draft picks. Speaking of shoring up that offensive line, Jedrick Willis, big one, man. That was their first round pick. So now you have those two bookend tackles with Conklin and Willis, Grant Delpit, Jordan Elliott. I think, the draft might not have that. You go offensive line. Of course, you're not going to have the star power. People aren't going to be talking about it. But that's what the Browns need. They have the star power. They have the talent. They just need to kind of do the things that are low key to round out that franchise, right? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, that's if they can protect Baker better. That's what it's all about. And I think they're big moves. Jedrick Wills and Conklin, that seems like that's what their game plan is protect Baker better. And I think that's the moves to make.
So what are your thoughts about the roster as a whole and kind of looking at the entire depth chart? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think they have the talent to really maybe not compete with anybody, but compete with the upper end teams. Their offensive weapons. Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, OBJ. Hopefully he didn't play well last year because of the injury. I'm not glad he was injured, but yeah, I want to see him play better. Landry, Hooper. Their offense, they definitely have the weapons around them. So it's just the fact that let's get on the ball and give Baker some time. So I like their roster, and you got Myles Garrett on the other side of the ball. So, I mean, as long as he doesn't freaking kill somebody on the field, like, I think that they'll be all right. And I really like Denzel Ward as well on corner. He kind of holds it down.
Yeah, Denzel Ward's I feel like it's an underrated corner, man. He's young, but he's deadly. And I'm a Steelers fan, and I honestly, thank Myles Garrett because he did something that every Steeler fan wanted to do, and it was bash Mason Rudolph in the face of the helmet. Nah, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah, that was crazy. But Myles Garrett has a chance to win Defensive Player of the Year. He's that kind of talent,
Yeah.
and to go along with that high-powered offense, it's definitely going to be interesting. My only concern about the Browns is their backers are kind of weak. Like I like Mac Wilson a lot, but the Christian Kirksey, loss might hurt them more than what people might think. They shored up the offensive line, but it was bad last year. How will that interior line be? We know they have 2 new tackles, but how will that the 2 guards in the center gel together? Those are kind of some of the questions about the roster I have. What are some of the big questions you have?
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's so hard. It's going to be so hard for these coaches. Just what are they? They're coming into Cleveland getting 1 or 2 years, and their quarterbacks are getting 1 or 2 years. Like, it's almost like you just really. I mean, but did anyone really think Freddie Kitchens was the answer last year?
You wouldn't think.
But yeah, you got to think like they just have to, and maybe that's what they're doing with Stefanski. Is someone like, okay, let's just give him 6 years at least. Let him build something, test that. I mean, you just got to give him some time, I think,
Sure.
to build on a roster. I mean, because the guys aren't like they're not his guys. I mean, there's just so much overturn. So I think that's the biggest like thing that holds the Browns back is just like maybe just chill for a hot minute and like let the coaches coach and see what happens.
I think you have to, as a Browns fan, and I'm curious what Cleveland thinks. What was the exception? Was it year 1 or year 2 for Baker?
Mm-hmm.
That I don't know. It is part of the idea of signing an Austin Hooper to go to a play action kind of game and let him push it down the field to Landry, OBJ off the play action because Nick Chubb might be the best running back in the league. Like just as far as just straight I formation, single back running the ball, he might be the best in the league. Kareem Hunt's an absolute weapon out of the backfield. You're talking about a guy who led the league in rushing his rookie year. They have 2 of the absolute best backs in the league. And you have to kind of wonder if that's going to be, what their plans are for Baker. Is to kind of take some pressure off of him. Don't let him just run out of the gun where people can really key in on him. I'm curious. I still have faith in Baker. I feel like people are really hating on him now because he had a bad season last year. But I still feel like he could be Cleveland's long-term answer, without a doubt.
Yeah, I agree, and I think if they can do those things, I mean, he's still young, and so I think it's hard to just put that pressure. I mean, there's very few quarterbacks that can just right out of the gate put the whole pressure on the QB. So yeah, exactly. If Nick Chubb can just do what he does, and Kareem Hunt just get the ball to the playmakers and make life easier on Baker. I mean, I think that almost the key to success this year.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just wait till Baker develops more and get this offense moving.
I'm 100% with you. And that kind of brings me to is how do you think the Browns stack up in the AFC North?
Yeah, I think, I mean, I went back and forth between them and the Steelers. I mean, I think that I honestly think that, like, they almost split the division, or not split the division, like split the wins with the Steelers and Ravens. I mean, I could just see them, like, taking one from the Ravens, just something like – I just feel like the Browns always, like, take one from a really good team somehow. And I can see that happening. But so I just have them – finishing third, but definitely looking forward to like what they do because I think in years to come they can easily build on this and start moving up in the division. But this year I had them finishing third.
So I have them third in the division, but I have them like really close to second. I think they are going to be a dark horse wildcard team. I think the best thing for Cleveland is people are sleeping on now, right? No one's talking about them. They have the talent, and it's just about, belief. It's about shaking off that kind of bad juju, the years of losing. So we're going to see this year, man. It's kind of put up or shut up. After this year, if they have another huge letdown season, then it's, I'm with you. I like stability. I think it's one thing that makes New England great. It's one thing that makes, the Saints great, Pittsburgh great, is they have stability. But if you have another letdown season, you really have to start looking at, OBJ, Baker Mayfield. You have to look at those guys and, are those the long-term solutions? I don't know.
Yeah.
So what do you think their record prediction is going to be?
I had them at 9-7. It was that was tough between 8-8, 9-7. I just think they're a little more talented than a 500 team, so I went with 9-7. But I mean, it was tough, and I think if they were in another division, I'd give them a few more wins. But I think the AFC North is one of the toughest divisions. I mean, the Steelers can easily make a big run. The Ravens are clearly one of the favorites in the league. So I mean, I think that's just like one of the bad things about the Browns this year is just this division stacked.
And I'm 100% with you. And my two picks, because I always put down two records that I'm torn between. I have 9-7 and 10-6. I'm going with 9-7 because I have Pittsburgh at 10-6, but I also have Pittsburgh at like 10-6, 11-5. So I'm seeing them. They could take the second spot. I wouldn't be overly shocked. I think they're a good team, man. I really do. Obviously, like I said, I'm a Pittsburgh guy, so I'm not a huge, Cleveland fan. But I like what they're doing. As an outsider looking at some of the pieces they're putting together, they have a chance, to be a real dark horse in this league.
Yeah, I mean, I think like looking at the roster, they definitely have the potential to, I mean, do it. But I mean, it's just what's Stefanski going to bring? I mean, and you're right. Was it his rookie season? Is that actually the Baker that we're going to see? Was last year? I mean, maybe the hype last year and the whole Cleveland's going to the Super Bowl, maybe that took a toll on them and they didn't play well because of that. Just all the pressure, they crumbled a little bit. So I mean, hopefully they pick it up this year. I mean, I'm not really a fan of any team, so I just have players, and Baker, OBJ, definitely one of my favorites. So I hope they do well.
Sure. And then, do you have any parting shots?
I think OBJ. I think I saw him ranked like fourth. Some GMs like ranked him fourth on for wide receivers. I think that's high. I don't think he goes back to where he was in New York. I don't know what it is. I like him a lot. I mean, but I just think something with him and Baker just off. And so I just think that he just has not a mediocre year, but just maybe finishes fantasy football here, but finishes out of the like top 12 wide receiver fantasy. I don't know what it is. I just don't see him coming back. I mean, I hope he does, but I just don't see him coming back to where he was.
And my parting shot is I shouldn't say it's not close, but I think the AFC North is definitely the best division in football. I know that with Brady going down there to the South, people are going to be talking about them. If the Broncos kind of take the next step up, and Chargers, with Herbert coming on board, if he plays a lot this season, the West could be talked about. The NFC East always gets a lot of chatter, but I think the North's the best division, man. I think they have a chance to have 3 playoff teams, personally.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the Browns could easily squeak in there. I mean, it definitely could happen.
Yeah. So I'm with you guys. If you like the episode, click like, subscribe, drop your prediction, Browns, and we'll see you guys next time.